Hello everybody and welcome to This Ain't Fake Brother. It's the 23rd of April 2015. It's our first show in a long time.
It's what, 2 weeks now, isn't it?
Ken, it's great to have you back.
It's good to be here, Neill.
Yeah.
In this beautiful surroundings that we're doing a show.
Yeah, we're trying a new format outdoors here today, and hopefully the audio quality is very good. It actually has the potential to be better than in studio. That's a different conversation for a different day. Mm-hmm. Ken decided that we should get together to talk about my honeymoon, which was in fact in a Wrestlemania experience. So,
well, before all that, Neill, how is married life? What are we, 3 weeks in? 4 weeks. 4 weeks.
4 weeks yesterday. Yeah, it's.
See how I knew that? See how I know these things?
You're a good man with a date.
I am a good
man. Up till the next year, then it's all gone from your head. But
your anniversary is going to be a week before mine, so.
Oh, is that right?
No excuse.
Oh, it is. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, like, I don't know. I think that there is a kind of an element of a honeymoon period. I think that's inevitable. And as you know, being at our wedding, you know, the day went better than expected. Everything went right except for a certain best man. But even that added to the day in a lot of ways.
It absolutely added to the day.
Yeah. So it was great, and you know we're still riding the high, and I think there's also a tremendous relief. Like Ken,
yeah.
You know, we
more so for you than there was for me because I had a small wedding. You know?
Yeah, you did a small wedding, although you did have to arrange stuff like across the water. Ken got married over Wrestlemania 28 in Fort Lauderdale, and then we all headed into Miami to watch the show. But we did some serious stuff. We decorated the entire place. We had a very unique theme. We did all the table place names. We did all the writing. We performed as our own wedding band, which took a tremendous amount of rehearsal time. We, it consumed our lives.
The feel of your wedding and Claire's wedding. You know what I mean?
And we're so glad we achieved that. But it's one of those things, man. When I get home from work at night, I almost don't know what to do sometimes. I'm kind of like, what?
I'd say so.
What's happening? From January, myself and Claire talked about this. From January on, my life, right, except for Wednesdays and Sundays when I rehearse, became I would do my job, I'd do my guitar lessons, I'd teach guitar, I'd come home, right, and because we weren't doing the podcast, I'd either do the football podcast or I would, at about 8, half 8, 9 after having dinner, I'd come to the conservatory, I'd bring my laptop out, I'd have a pack of cigarettes, 3 tins of beer, and I'd spend 3 to 4 hours doing stuff. That was my life, all wedding related. So now it's in the past, as is the honeymoon. But I'm glad to sit down and talk about some things. I think you and people who listen who like wrestling will find them interesting. First off, it was a disaster when we arrived in San Francisco. We were planning on spending 4 days there, 2 days. But we were in the line for customs, and I said to Claire, you know, I've never had a bag lost. And she goes, what? And I go, they've lost my bag. And she goes, what are you talking about? And I go, I don't know, but they've lost my bag. So anyway, we get to the baggage exchange. My name gets called over the PA. I walk up to the attendant and, Mr. Marshall, your bag will be on the later flight. And I said, grand. She said, it'll be at the hotel at 11 o'clock. I said, grand. So here I am.
That happened when we went over for our wedding as well.
Did it? So here I am, wearing clothes I've been wearing for 24 hours because, of course, to get the cheap flights, we did several connections. Okay. Don't think I'll be doing that again.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was only over in late January in the States, and the cheapest flight was also the one that was the quickest, so 12 hours.
That's sweet.
I know, very sweet. Oh, then you in San Fran, though, so you're going to the other side of the country.
Yeah, it is hard. It's hard to get there, but cut the night early anyway. Cut the night early and went home. Went back to the hotel expecting to see the bag. No bag. Woke up at 7 o'clock the next day. So that's the first night in San Francisco gone. I'd been there before, Claire hadn't. There's a great bar there called Zeitgeist. There's a couple of great rock bars. Couldn't go out.
That exact thing happened, but at least I was in a family home.
You were. Worst thing about it all was that obviously we're relying on Google Maps and stuff like that. All my converters.
Oh God.
So the laptop was dying, the phones were dying. So we started racking up this bill on the hotel phone at 7 a.m, saying, when will it be here? When will it be here? Look, we're willing to go to the airport to actually get it.
Yeah.
And they were saying, no, don't do that. We were talking to a lot of Indian people, which we found a bit strange. I didn't know there was a big population in San Francisco, but go figure.
There you go.
Yeah. So they said, no, it could already be with the courier. No point in going to the airport. It'll be there 11 o'clock in the day. We go out, get breakfast, shop, come back 11 o'clock in the day. So here we are 12 hours after it was supposed to be there. No bag. Ring again. Keep talking to these Indian people. I'm getting very, very stressed now. We're playing it up. Oh, this is our honeymoon. We only have 2 days in San Francisco. I have medication in the bag, which is actually kind of true. And but that's my fault. That's not their fault.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're told, no, don't bother coming to the airport. Of course, we suggested again. It could be with the courier. All right, well, when will it be here? within 24 hours. That's great because I won't be in San Francisco within 24 hours. So we just say, fuck this. We go to the airport. We can't obviously get through the arrivals to get to the baggage claim. So we use a payphone, ring again, talk to another Indian person. Right. They say, go to the second or the 5th floor in Terminal 2. Doesn't exist. Right? Doesn't exist. Oh, so at this stage I'm weeping, right? This is about 1 o'clock in the day. Right. So I find BA and I say, well, what's the crack? You know, when you guys open up, nobody will be here till 2 o'clock. Fantastic. An hour.
In the afternoon?
Yeah, because the West Coast, the flights, they don't need to be there. So here we are losing our mind. We ring up again, we're going apeshit, and finally Claire is, we're swapping the calls. Claire's finally going, where are you? What's going on? Who am I speaking to? What is this number? You said you're in the airport. They're in India because... Yes, it's an Indian call centre.
I assumed so all along, but I just thought when you said Indian population...
But they told us they were in the airport!
That's bollocks. What? I don't understand the need to lie. You know
no. So anyway, we go up to the baggage deposit. People are checking in for the flights. Do the whole story. It's about the 10th time we told the story in the space of 24 hours. And he said, I presume it's with the courier. It says it is on the system. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. And he goes, 1 minute. Comes back 10 minutes later. My bag was up in the offices. So we basically missed the whole time in San Francisco. Anyway, we had an okay time that day. Next day we head down to San Jose. Now throughout this we were meeting all sorts of people. The first people we met were a couple from Limerick because I recognised a Bullet Club t-shirt. Right, you know, of course the first fucking people we have to run into are muckheads. And they were nice anyway. We ran into another guy who always gets front row seats because he was ex-army. I see the famous Anchor in the Hard Rock Hotel, former vice president of the Empire, WrestlingReserve.com. So
did you ever go back and listen to all those old shows?
Yeah, I have.
Buy shout outs, and Anchor would buy ads and put his own Anchor World Order songs in.
It's ridiculous.
Oh God.
It's we have to talk about the Observer later when we get to the news section. But anyway, on to the wrestling. So
can I just tell you one thing?
Of course.
On your baggage story.
Yeah.
I one time had a bag lost coming back from Florida to Dublin. Right. This was on a Friday night. Okay. And they're telling me, it'll be with you in the next couple of days, right? This is a decade ago. This is probably 2002, 2003. Yeah, 2003 was I remember Valencia winning the league. But anyway, and I'm telling the story in the Widows on Tuesday night. I'm working in the Widows back then, and I'm behind the bar telling the story to my fellow lounge boy, right? I was 17 at the time, and a chap at the bar goes, you're not Murphy, are you? I'm like, yeah, why? And he's like, oh, sure, it's yourself. And I was like, what? He's like, I work for the airport. I drop bags out. Sure, keep meaning to bring your bag on my way home because I'm in Portmarnock. And I'm just like, you have my bag? He's like, yeah, I got it in work. Like, and I was like, could I have it, please? Like, this is Tuesday. I was home on the Friday. Saturday night, he brought it to me. Only after I prompted him again, like. It's so
8 days.
It took 8 days to get my luggage. So I know he had a bad Sunshine, but
this isn't the end of the BA issue.
Oh God, okay.
In fact, the issue is still ongoing, and if we continue to do the show on a weekly basis, I can update people. Anyway, so we take the Cal train down, and we're having a nice time. The Cal train, talking to this guy, as I said, who is ex-military. He's telling us some crazy stories about he worked Katrina. Right. You worked Katrina. I'm sure he'd appreciate that if he heard it. Anyway, so we're talking about that. I need to go to the John. So I go to the John, and one of the attendants noticed that I've been waiting quite a while, so he starts knocking on the door of the John, and all we hear is, I'll be out in a minute! And I'm like, what's going on here? Sure, wasn't she doing the crack in the toilet?
Really?
So she gets exited from the train because I had to take a piss. Okay. Very proud of myself and my bladder. Okay. We arrive in San Jose. Walking distance to our hotel, which is walking distance to the SAP Centre, which had Hall of Fame and Raw, which is all great. So we go to Access.
What does SAP stand for?
The SAP Centre, SAP Centre, I'm not too sure.
Okay.
So we go to Access. We don't do much because it happens to be the night of the NXT tournament to see who's going to get into the Battle Royal Wrestlemania. Yeah. So we spent most of our time doing that.
So you watched it, did you?
Watched all the matches.
Watch yourself on TV?
No, we were just a little bit far behind because obviously it's not tiered because it's at Access.
Yeah, it looked very strange on TV.
Yeah, so I know it looked like there was nobody there. Yeah, poor old Kent. So we saw Kent beat Tyler Breeze, then Balor beat Adrian Neville. We were trying our best to get Balor's attention by
yeah.
shouting out Father Ted quotes and kick him in the arse fin and stuff like that. Trying to put the man off. God bless him.
Yeah.
But then so we watched the final, and as soon as Hideo won, I was like, grand, so he's not winning the Battle Royal. Because if Finn won, I thought there might be a chance.
Yeah.
So I knew. People got very up in arms about this, especially with the preceding documentary.
I never thought he would win.
No. Never.
In fact, I just thought it was weird that he won the tournament because I was never exposed to much Kenta.
Yeah.
However, I'd heard great things coming in, but I mean, since I've seen him, he's been fairly underwhelming, to be honest with you.
Well, that's because he's completely switched his style.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not putting that on him or on them.
Yeah,
I'm
what
just
made him special is no longer there.
Yeah,
They're not letting it be there.
Whereas if you look at someone like Balor, he's he's got presence. He's something special.
For sure he is.
Did you have any live observations on these guys?
Adrian Neville is as crisp as anything I've ever seen.
Adrian Neville, we're going to talk about him later on.
He's phenomenal.
He, by the way, is the prime reason that I didn't watch Monday Night Raw this week.
Well, he wasn't on the show.
It was because I couldn't take... Every week I watched Raw since WrestleMania, and I saw him just go from this really special talent on NXT to just another Kofi Kingston on the main roster. And
Okay.
I felt like I can't watch the show. I'm not doing myself any good.
Well, we'll get to it because I have similar views, although a slightly different perspective. Other notes on NXT briefly: met Jackie Swagger.
Access, you mean?
Access, sorry. Met Jackie Swagger
Jackie.
and Diamond Dallas Page. Now, I had what I wanted to say to DDP,
Right.
but
By
obviously
the way, did Jackie Swagger react when you called him Jackie?
he kind of looked a little miffed. Now, as you know, we always refer to him on the show as Jackie Swagger.
Between him and the Hoff.
Him and the Hoff.
Do you think there's heat between them over the Jackie Swagger incident?
I don't know.
I'd say there is. I'd say if there's ever a Baywatch movie with a wrestler cameo, there's no Jackie Swagger in there.
That's right. Oh my God, the origins of Jackie Swagger. So I wasn't the only one. A lot of people were going to DDP and then kind of like, okay, Jack, like they'd be passing along their thing to be
Like
signed
when we
to
met
Jack.
Bret Hart and like Scotty T. Waddy and Tatanka were
Very much.
trying to sell you their gimmicks. I remember, I'm sure I told you the story before, but who was it? It was I think it was Tatanka. I made eye contact with him, as in just to say like hello, and he like leaned forward as in to like sign something or take a picture of me. I had to put my hand out and be like, no, I don't want anything from you. I just was like,
I tell you about Al Snow last year.
no.
WrestleCon last year, we saw he was one of the vendors. Obviously, they're charging and they're selling gimmicks. That's what they're there for, to make money. But we saw him take a picture for free with a kid.
Right.
So Claire goes, oh, maybe he's doing pictures for free. I wasn't sold, but we went up anyway.
Oh,
She
no.
goes, Al, can I get a picture? He goes, okay, that'll be $20. Claire fakes a call and runs away from me. So here I am with Al Snow, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, I think she's a bit busy. I'll just take that Job Squad t-shirt. Do you have it in small? The original white. No, I don't have any left in small. So I had to pay $25 for a Job Squad t-shirt I didn't want out of pure and utter awkwardness. Anyway,
Oh, God.
so DDP was really nice. I tried my best to say Jackie Swagger was I've never seen this at Access before. Any of you to been to Access, they're just on kind of platforms, and there's a snake queue around. There's about 5 or 6 of these littered around the venue. Jackie Swagger had a speaker hooked up to his iPhone, and he was listening to music. He knew he'd been sabotaged, you see, and he knew that people weren't going to pay heed to him if he was sitting beside DDP.
So he was listening to music.
And that was my in. He was listening to Metallica, and I said, hey, Jackie, are you responsible for the music here, the Metallica? And he goes, I am. And I go, have you ever seen them live, expecting that the millionaire has gone to see his favourite band live? No, he says. Okay, bye, I said. But 2 other interesting notes that people might find.
Speak to DDP.
Yes, I did. He was lovely.
Okay.
He was. So I did the DDP.
Seems like a sweetheart.
Then moved on to Jackie, said the thing, kind of fell in its arse, but at least I had something to say.
Did Paige try and sell you his yoga?
Okay, so when we were in the queue,
Okay.
intermittently, maybe every 10th or 12th person, you'd see Diamond stand up and go, lost 42 pounds on DDP yoga. And everyone would go, hey! And then he'd do the bang, and then everyone would be like, come on, Jack! And Jack would stand up and do the We the People really begrudgingly.
At least he didn't. He wasn't like Stan Hansen who stiffed you on the lariat, you know?
That's right, Stan Hansen. I think I told that story before, but anyway.
I think you told me on the podcast, but I've always remembered it, and I don't like Stan Hansen because of it.
I fucking don't like Stan Hansen either. But I never thought I'd spend so much time talking about these two. 2 other quick notes. The line for Paige was longer than the line for Roman Reigns.
Really?
Yes, sir. Now, we know there's a lot of Euros that travel over, and they'll be inclined to do Access, especially if it's their first time. But still, I thought that was pretty incredible.
That's almost strange. I wouldn't have any particular desire to meet either, but I I don't know. Paige is one of those guys I always feel like he's almost like he was a bit of a myth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when he came to a lot of WCW guys came to WWF or E or whatever. And
Sorry. There's such confusion here. I'm not talking about DDP.
oh, Paige.
Other Paige.
Okay, because we were talking about DDP there, Neil.
No, there was a longer. No.
Really?
No, sorry. It was Dallas and Jackie. It was, obviously. But what I'm saying is the line for Paige, English Paige, and that's why I brought the Euros.
Soraya Jade Beavis.
Soraya. More stories about Paige later. I've really got to try to get through this.
Okay.
The other thing about Access that was interesting was they usually have a WrestleMania mega store in the stadium.
Yeah.
Now, the stadium was so far away from San Jose, it was actually close to San Francisco, that they merged the Access store and the mega store. So it was just this one mega store, and you didn't have to have a ticket for access
to go to the megastore.
Right. The mega store was just unbelievable.
Really?
I
was thinking about asking you to get me some merch. I should have gotten on.
They have outdone themselves.
Really?
They have more stuff than ever, more sizes than ever, more variety than ever, more classic t-shirts than ever. They had I bought the geekiest t-shirt that ever existed, and I can't believe that they even cleared this. So it's a robotic Hulk Hogan and a robotic Macho Man. And it says the mecha powers, as in a kind of an anime thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but it was incredible because I'd always go there and go, why the fuck are they not selling Just Bring It and 316 and NWO t-shirts?
Yeah, that would always annoy me when I go there.
So anyway,
I remember the one we went to. I wanted to get a Dolph Ziggler t-shirt, and I had to order off .com.
Oh, they'd have like 3 or 4 of those here, 3 or 4 Sting t-shirts. And the really cool thing they've added this year, and I can't wait to see the Ronda and Stephanie version next year, is they had match t-shirts that were dedicated to matches.
Okay, yeah.
So the Sting and Hunter one was a circle, and it was half Sting's face and half the Skull face, and then around the perimeter of the circle it would say Triple H versus Sting, Icon versus The Game, and it was really good stuff. So that was Access. Now, we were very lucky at WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta getting into the Residence Bar. And this was stuff that we had tried to do since then and never really got the same look. But luck was on our side after the debacle with the bag, it seems.
Okay.
See if you can follow this. Claire's cousin married a guy from San Jose.
Okay.
That's where they now live. So they wanted to look after us because they couldn't make it over for the wedding.
Okay.
Thursday night after Access was where we first met them. They picked us up. They brought us to a couple of bars. He said he was trying to do some stuff for us. He used to bounce in the area. He was a security guard in a lot of big clubs. He's had a few contacts, clearly did, because everywhere we went we were getting free drinks. But nothing was really coming through from him. He did just say, though, use me as a taxi. We've got some surprises. Yeah. Such a nice guy. His name's Brian. As I say, he's a native. At the end of the night, as they're being kicked out, he runs into this guy called Troy.
Right.
He knew Troy from school.
Okay.
Troy seemed to be in love with Brian.
Okay.
Troy said, and I almost fucked this all up, they're talking, and I'm like, oh, you guys know each other? I'm hammered. Yeah. And Troy's like, yeah, and he looked really young, and he had a baseball cap on, he's very short, but he looked young. And I go, Brian, you're 44, and he goes, yeah. And I go, Troy, he goes, yeah, I'm 43, man. And he took off his cap, and he's bald as a coot, and I, in a very Irish way, said, you've ruined it. Right? Little did I know what I almost had done. Right. Troy's job is that he's PA for the San Francisco 49ers. Right, okay. And they were doing press, and they were in town for the entire weekend, from Thursday till Monday. And where were they staying?
Same hotel.
Same hotel.
Excellent.
So it began.
Okay.
So we went back to the hotel. They had this big chocolate belt, and we got in, and they just had this display, and it was a bit late anyway. All the bars closed there at 2 o'clock on the dot. So that was that. Okay.
Like all over California?
Absolutely, including the residence bar in the hotel. I know. Because, New Orleans, we were drinking till 6. Yeah. The night of WrestleMania, we drank till 6. We were out of our minds, having fun. Anyway, so moving on to Friday. Friday, we had the famed Empire dinner. This is where the Wrestling Observer sets up the dinner.
I'm very interested to hear about this.
Okay, so we arrive, and a few other people are there, and this is when I say, oh, are you Anchor? I think I saw you in the Hard Rock in San Francisco. He goes, oh, yeah. So I said,
where is Anchor from?
Scotland.
Right, okay.
And he voted no, so he's a pal of mine already. So I said to him, okay. He goes, he was on the feed, the F4W hashtag Twitter feed, and he said, they've driven to Redwood City. The bus that was supposed to bring people from where a lot of them were staying to the dinner and then to ROH, they just brought them straight to ROH. Yeah, Dave and Brian arrive. They were in Dave's house, so they arrived, had a really nice chat with them. Dave Meltzer. Oh, he's a great guy. Really glad to. Dave is just, Dave won't make eye contact with you and just will talk and talk and talk.
We won't make eye contact then.
We would just be like, well, and just looking, he's a loon. There's too much going on. We know that from his mouth can't keep up with his head.
Chatting with Brian, were you?
Yeah, Brian recognised me.
Okay.
And so we're having a nice time.
Was Witty there?
She wasn't this time, so he was free and easy. So we were, we all had the dinners. Fogo de Chao was €80 a head, but it was worth it.
Nice,
yeah, you had this little gimmick where they had cards on the table, green and red. You've seen this?
Yeah, no, I know.
They'll keep serving. Okay. So anyway, towards the end of dinner,
Brian once said, green means bring me more meat.
That's exactly it. So the bus arrives with all those Egypts where they're all there. Ed came over saying sorry to everybody. I don't know why. I had my food. So we're all chatting, and then we're getting ready to get on the bus. So I walk inside and I talk to Craig.
Yes!
And so I'm talking to Craig about the grunge music I love dearly as well, and he's a big fan. And we're talking about Pearl Jam, Soundgarden.
He's calling him Pious prick.
I didn't, because he actually was really, really nice.
He's a bloody brilliant bloke.
So we get on the bus and we go towards the back of the bus and we're sitting down, and he goes, I don't mean to be weird. He goes, but Neill, do you know Sean? And I go, Sean? He goes, Sean Ryan. And I go, yeah. He goes, well, I'm friends with Sean on Facebook and I've seen all your wedding photos. And then he's telling me to say hi to you and Sean.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he says he loves you and Sean.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
so strange.
And for some reason, I never knew that the story was you both sat down, but in the wrong seats, and then ended up sitting in the right seats, which were also together.
Yeah.
So you both made a similar mistake, clearly. Okay, yeah, all right. So there you go.
Strange. And we bumped into each other in the toilets on the way to our seats as well.
There you go. Okay, so I've got the Super Card of Honor card here, which we were going through. So Mark Briscoe and ACH. What I took from this is that ACH is a really, really great athlete. I hadn't seen much of him before.
I couldn't even pick my whole lineup.
Okay, Michael Elgin versus Frankie Kazarian. There wasn't as many Michael Elgin feats of strength, but the one thing I will say is when I saw him last year against Kevin Steen, he had this mullet, and now he's bald, and he looks a lot better.
Okay.
All right. Matt Seidel defeated Moose, Tiasso Ciampa, Caprice Coleman, Cedric Alexander, and Andrew Evan. This Moose guy.
Is he good? Yeah.
He's so over.
Really?
When he comes out, everyone goes Moose. Moose. And Claire was like losing her mind. Claire doesn't watch RHL. She's like, this Moose. So Moose is a great guy. BJ Whitmer defeated Jimmy Jacobs. So this is Jimmy Jacobs' last match before going to Connecticut to work on the writing team.
Oh yeah.
So people, like, this was this big moment. Everybody's crying. I think they did an angle and end where like somebody who'd been in RH 2004 came.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was happening. A lot of people there didn't. So then it was intermission, and Filthy Tom Lawler was there talking to Brian and Craig. I didn't want to interrupt them, but I ran to Alan Forel and Pingu. Okay. Great chat with them. We ended up seeing them so much more. They know us. They see us at every Mania as well. You really do get this kind of weird... after the intermission, then we had Roderick Strong, Christopher Daniels. That was fine. Red Dragon with Filthy Tom against Mike Bennett and Matt Taven with Maria. It was a really, really good match. Kyle O'Reilly is incredible. He's really, really cool. And then I got all I wanted. I got to see Jushin Thunder Liger make an entrance. And that was the coolest fucking thing. So him and Jay Lethal...
What was he wearing? Is he still wearing the red and white?
Still wearing red and white, and he comes out with the big shoulder pads, came in, and the amount of streamers, you know yourself.
Does... See, I often wonder, like, I think Sting really benefited from it, and would again next year, because he's got the mask, and I think that someone like Jushin Liger, because he's got... Sting, sorry, doesn't have the mask, Sting has the face paint, but Jushin Liger... Does he look like a guy in his mid-40s, or because of the mask, does he, can he pass for...
Do you think he's mid-40s? I was under the impression he was slightly older. I can check.
Well, there you go.
Here.
Does he look like an old dude, is my question.
It's a weird one, because, like, it all depends, I suppose. He's 50. It all depends how much of him you saw when he was younger, I think.
Yeah, which I saw a decent chunk of.
So did I, more than I do now. But I know for a fact that in New Japan he's always in tag matches, and usually the opener with people like Captain New Japan and Tiger Mask 8 or whatever. But he moved extremely well. Okay. And he was very good. And when it came to the chain wrestling aspect, he was just dynamite. So Jay Lethal went over there. It was a nice match. And then the last match was another ROH farewell. Right. Samoa Joe and Jay Briscoe in Samoa Joe's last ROH match.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought Joe had a few more.
No, that was his last ROH match.
Okay.
So... NXT was also on that night.
Yes.
Now, when I was talking to everybody at the dinner, everybody on the bus, and Alan and Pingu and so on, I was trying to see what people were doing. So, we'd already decided not to get the bus down. This is where Claire's cousin's husband, Brian, comes back. He drove all the fucking way up to Redwood City. Right. It's a 40-minute trip back up to get us. As soon as the bell went, I thought Joe was going to cut a post-match goodbye promo, and it might have been nice to see, but I was like, fuck this. I'm not lying. Everybody says it was Dave Meltzer. It wasn't. I was the first out of that building.
Really?
Yeah, the second the bell went, I was standing because I knew the near falls were going.
Yeah.
Out of that building. By the way, it wasn't as good a match as you think. It was fine. Okay. So we make it down to NXT. Run in, and sitting there, Hunter's just come to the ring. So we're about half. Yeah, I got there that early.
Didn't.
Right. So we're watching the Hunter thing. Some guy beside us just told us we missed Hideo hitting the GTS on Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
So I did miss that. All right. But here's what we didn't miss.
But that's not TV, so that moment still come really in a way.
I suppose it does. Let me say something about the place NXT did it in. It was in it was on the campus, the university campus, and it was the nicest building I've ever watched wrestling in.
Really?
Joe, what I'd say was like, were you at the Fort Lauderdale building ECW ran in?
I was there twice. I was there for Ring of Honor as well.
Okay, I'd say it was pretty similar to that. Beautiful,
it's a really nice
fantastic layout. So. It's kind of like Talca Park, except you take away the size of the pitch in terms of the way the tiered seating is and how high it goes. Yeah. Really good.
Strange comparison.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me this: how is it weird watching Triple H be super babyface Hunter to the same crowd that that hate the fact that he buries Daniel Bryan or whatever? You know what I mean? I find that's such a strange dichotomy that he's this indie hero now, while at the same time. He is ultimately the face that they're all blaming for the Roman Reigns push. I know everyone's to blame Vince, but and Vince is probably more of it. But I don't believe for a second that he isn't on board with a lot of those decisions.
Well, the theory was that 2 years ago when they formulated the plan, when they brought people up after WrestleMania 2 years ago and subsequently into the summer, that Big E was Vince's guy and Roman was Hunter's.
Really? Yeah.
That was the way that it was explained to me. So yeah, of course. But look, listen, the hardcore or inside fans' backlash or acceptance of Triple H is far different to the way it was 4 or 5 years ago. People love him now.
I know.
I love him now.
Yeah. My wife and I watched that the Blu-ray, like Kingdom Come or whatever. On the network.
It's great.
And I've actually seen it before, and MT, if I hope to God doesn't listen to this, she will find a reason to dislike people when it comes to like celebrities. She'll find something she dislikes about them very, very readily, right?
Okay.
And she loves Hunter.
There you go. So we saw the Hunter promo. Then the next match was the Vaudevillains against the Lucha Dragons against those geek champions. What are their names?
Yeah.
Blake and Murphy, yeah.
Gordon
and then
Murphy.
as I'm watching this match, or at least the Vaudevillains entrance, Claire taps me on the shoulder and goes, look at him. And there's Dave Meltzer down in the standing area where the seats stop and the tier where we we're looking directly at the ramp, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So ahead of us we can see the entire seated crowd for floor level. He's there running around, no idea where he's sitting. Keeps going over to Court Bauer, showing him his ticket. No idea where he's sitting. People are coming over to him, attendants are coming over to him going, yeah, you're over there. He's like, all right, but I better go say goodbye to Court. Losing his mind. So it was great because I knew that I arrived earlier than him.
What did Melty dress like?
Melty,
some of these fucking suits he wears at the Cauliflower Air Club.
Melty was wearing like jeans and a t-shirt tucked into the jeans.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like Declan from Dumb City FM without the tracksuit bottoms.
We can't talk about technology things I regret. God.
Anybody who listens to our MMA show, Declan's the person who does
it. Is he in good shape?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he is. As is Brian. Brian's in amazing shape.
Always has been, yeah.
Okay. So that was a fine match, and then this has been reported everywhere else, but when the graphic of the NXT Women's title came up on the Tron, by the way, for a house show, it was the best production I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Better than the Raw house shows.
Okay, yeah.
And I know they started adding the Tron a few years ago, you know? So Charlotte and Sasha come out, and they have one of my favourite matches of the weekend.
Really, yeah?
It was so compelling and great, and it was crisp.
And people lost their shit for it.
They were both so over. This was when it's one of those things where a rare example of a super hardcore crowd, but they're as much for the babyface as they are for the heel.
Yeah.
Because they know, she's the heel. So there was dueling chants for both of them. It was so hot. It was obviously it was more contained. Stuff like that, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it was obviously a lot more condensed. The way I put it to Claire is I said, okay, so Raw is the most hardcore 12,000 out of 60,000. NXT was the most hardcore 5,000 out of, right. So it was like that. So, and because of the dynamic of the building and the size, it was so loud. It was the loudest most passionate crowd I've ever been to. And I go to ROH every year. I go to Mania.
I was so disappointed this wasn't going to be televised, and I thought maybe we'd get it on TV later, but it just doesn't look like it's ever going to see the light. I'm sure there'll be footage of it on different DVDs, but I don't think we'll ever get the full thing.
Yep. And
so
then
you were at a happening.
Yeah, I was at a happening, and then the main event was Adrian Neville against Finn, and I was just like, I saw this match yesterday, but what I didn't see that I did get this time was full Finn entrance.
Okay, yeah.
Because he didn't have it at Access.
Of course, yeah. Did he do the face paint gimmick? No.
Oh, that's what I mean. Full.
Oh, really?
Full thing.
With the whole
thing.
He does it once every month.
And he actually had even more detail. He had like ridiculously well drawn angel wings into his back as well.
Incredible.
Oh my god, it's amazing. I said to Claire as soon as we saw it in person, I just said, imagine seeing this at a Wrestlemania.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will. Hopefully he doesn't get, because as we talk about with Adrian Neville, there has to be one thing, one little idiosyncrasy Vince has, is that something has to change to make it my guy. Ah, god damn it, drop the Adrian. So hopefully he doesn't become a Balor, and his entrance isn't just constantly him going vroom vroom and doing his, his throwing his arms back. Anyway, he was super duper over. The match was quite good indeed. His parents were in the front row, which was a really nice touch, and he went over, and people were just walking out of that show raving about it. And it was it's incredible.
What about that match? Wasn't it good?
It was fine.
I've seen them have a match on TV, and I do feel like the one thing is they are making the guys slow down and work more.
Well, their match at the last NXT pay-per-view was incredible. Finn and Adrian.
I remember.
It was the one with Owens and Sammy in the main event.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
I don't remember everything about that show other than Owens and Sammy because it was so good. And I know that not everyone felt that way about that show, but I loved it.
Coming out of NXT, my final thought was that WWE, and it's not just because of the production, not saying it doesn't help, but WWE have created a more passionate, because it's more available, but they've created, by pulling out of their giant fan base the most hardcore few and giving them something different, they've created the quintessential, most passionate indie hardcore show I was ever at.
Yeah. It's a real strange one. To me,
so strange.
What it's like is like, we often talk about like the likes of ROH or TNA or whatever, and the reason that I would give TNA a go where I never gave ROH a go was production. I just couldn't watch the ROH level production, you know what I mean? And I don't watch TNA now because I think they've it looks very grungy. And what WWE does is they present a product that's probably not dissimilar in a lot of ways to a Ring of Honor, but because it's WWE-ized with the fantastic entrances, just it looks so gorgeous in HD, it's much more palatable to me, whereas I struggle to watch ROH in dingy buildings and gotta fix the Latin.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Speaking of him, that was our next venture.
Yes.
Because that show ended so late, there was no bar time at all. We walked, and San Jose is a hell of a safe city. Got up Google Maps when we walked out of the campus, 21-minute walk to our hotel. Wow. We said, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Kept running in to just people just talking to us. Drunk people, but just talking to us. And every single person, and I'm not going to tell any more stories about this, but the overriding theme of the holiday this year, for the first time ever, and I've been to a lot of places where being an Irish person is a gimmick, but the overriding theme is, where are you from? Ireland. Do you know Conor McGregor?
Really?
Every fucking person.
Jesus, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. He's a big star, man. So that was also that was the Friday night, and that was the night that the thing in the convention centre happened that we would have gotten comps to if I was
yeah.
Serving beer at a press conference.
Yeah, I mean, but they did that in the Brazilian one, so I knew the same would happen. And I almost didn't want to watch because of that, and I watched for about 5 minutes, and I just had to turn it off.
Next day we went to the J.R. show, and it was in a far better venue in terms of like drinks and food and stuff than the one last year. The one last year was in a House of Blues, which is a chain in America for small gig jazz intimate performances and jazz club during the weekdays. Yep, I said. But it was nice. It was good. We didn't do the Observer meet and greet beforehand because you heard about the first time I met J.R. I called a match with him. They had that little thing at Access, so I don't think, what am I going to say? So it was a good show. I wouldn't say that there was a tremendous amount of different stories. Now, I'm comparing this to last year New Orleans where you had Steve Austin as the guest. Yeah, and Steve Austin came out very early. Yeah. So this was, I guess, more... this would be more of an example of what the usual J.R. show is like. So there's a lot more J.R. in the show.
Okay, yeah.
It was good stuff, and then as you said, he brought Samoa Joe out, and he was basically saying things like Samoa Joe's going to be at WrestleMania next year.
Yeah.
So we know that he's had extra indie dates added through May, when in March everybody thought May 5th or something was the cutoff. But in the Observer this week it says that he's expected to report down in June. So he just probably got his actual start date and then just added,
dates,
so I do think he's still
he's
nailed on.
NXT, I presume.
Yes.
It's just such a... For a guy that came to be in NXT, it's so ridiculous. It doesn't bother me because I'll be glad to see him, but like... The weird thing would be for a guy like him to have a new name.
Yeah.
You know?
Pacific Phil.
He's Samoa Joe. Yeah.
Polynesian Paul.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do with him. Anyway.
The most interesting...
If he's a Hunter guy, then he's... Nah, you know,
and he is
I can
Hunter
see
guy.
Vince wanting to cut him off, though.
Well,
Like when Vince had Charlotte on Raw, he fucked her, you know?
No, I completely agree, and he also had her lose a match. Yeah. But I think that the issue with Joe going to NXT right now is Kevin Owens. I don't think Vince is going to be happy with two people of their shape whose gimmicks are that they're really stiff.
Well, see, I don't know this. I feel like he doesn't pay any attention to that product at all.
Well, during the Hunter promo, I should probably backtrack a bit on NXT. He started listing the names of people who were backstage. And we know that Vince paid for the curfew to be extended, so the match could go on. So Vince was watching.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all I could think was when Vince saw Balor, that just be like, man... And I've got some fantasy booking that I would have done for Mania for Balor.
Okay.
All right. But anyway, okay, I will. I've actually got 3 different scenarios for this one thing. But JWare show, good. Highly recommend to anybody who hasn't got to go see it.
Okay.
Although
if he comes over this part of the world, I'll go.
Yeah, the one thing is about him coming and doing it outside the States, well, basically from what I've seen, when he does it outside of Mania weekend, you don't get the special guest.
Yeah.
So... Look, it's a good show. Loads of dirty Dick Murdoch stories, and loads of dirty stories actually. But he was fair. So we went to the Hall of Fame, and
Hall of Fame. What did you think of Zbyszko?
I found him so charming.
Okay.
I found it so adorable and charming. There were signs all over the building this year, more than ever before. No heckling, right? And there is these guys behind us that arrived during. I'm just trying to get the star of the card here. Sorry, excuse me. Right. So there are people who arrived during Zbyszko, and they were just kind of like, they were just roaring and being dickheads, and I kept trying to get the attention of the steward and be like, come on, man. Yeah. And the same steward was some fucking idiot. Yeah. I started smoking a vape, right? And eyeing him to basically say, please tell me if I'm allowed to do this or not. The distance was too great, and I would have been interrupting people if I had tried to get it. But I was just kind of like, And then after he warned the other guys, I think they said something to him, and then that got me no vape for me.
I see.
Fucking unbelievable. Right, okay. Anyway, so Zbyszko was good. Alundra Blaze stole the show.
Zbyszko at all.
Okay.
On TV, it was so awkward.
I can.
Like he lost his way, and he was just.
He did.
It was really uncomfortable. It's the point that I wanted to fast forward. What did you think of Alundra? Or Medusa, rather?
Speech of the night.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought on TV she was fantastic. I thought
Rikishi opened the show actually, and he yeah, it was what it was. It was okay. Like, I just can't believe I'm at an age now where Rikishi's going to the Hall of Fame. Like, I remember the first Hall of Fame I went to, it had the Funks going in. I was like, yeah, these guys are old guys, and now here I am watching Rikishi. Yeah. But then we had the Bushwhackers.
Next, yeah.
The Bushwhackers were
funny,
just incredible.
No, the highlight of Wrestlemania weekend was Brett having to do the Bushwhacker walk without cracking a smile, like a big stroke face on him.
Yep. No, that's the thing. Like we saw him do it, and Claire was like, he's fucking doing it, because we know how much of a dry shite he is. Yeah. More about that later.
Okay.
But then we had Fujinami. That was my smoke break after Flair.
Oh God, Fujinami, I skipped him. I couldn't.
We had the Connor the Crusher Award. Jesus Christ, that was.
Oh man, watching on TV was heavy enough.
It was so heavy in the building, because you're in the building, so it's palpable. And everybody else's emotions, and obviously
I thought actually Dana was almost worse, because she's so Dana Warrior.
Yeah. Because
she's so, and I've watched. I don't know if you've watched the Blu-ray yet.
I want to talk to you about that later.
Okay. She makes such an effort, and you can tell she's making an effort to keep strong the whole time, that it's almost more heartbreaking than if she were just to burst out crying, because you can see, like, almost the entire time she's up there, she wants to just lose it, and she's holding it together. You know what I mean?
I do.
And that was almost harder to watch.
I agree. And
of course, the worst moment was when the most heartbreaking moment was when his little brother said, "I love you, Connor." I couldn't take that. Like I think
I was cried out by then. Yeah. But the Dana thing was interesting, because obviously she spent a lot of time talking about. It was the first time, I think, publicly that she's in a public forum anyway,
Public speaking.
talked about the weekend last year.
Yeah.
So it was just non-stop heaviness. Daniel Bryan's speech. If there was ever a video to show Vince McMahon, not that he didn't see it, to say this guy could easily be obviously injury besides, he's just the most personable, likable, like you want people to look up to, right?
Yeah.
There's no better role model than Daniel Bryan.
But the problem is Vince McMahon wants someone to physically look up to.
That's true, of course. So that was that, and Connor's dad's speech, and then the brother thing at the end. It was all very emotional.
I love you, Connor.
Yeah, it's like, oh god. So Hulk Hogan came out to induct a man who hated him next, and
I believe the story about the hospital room.
How can you believe that?
Because Lanny said that he thought it was true, that he'd spoken to Randy about it.
Lanny also said he'd never asked Macho Man about Stephanie because he didn't have the balls to. Lanny clearly is just, a mark for Randy.
Willie the worker.
He's Willie to something.
I don't know. I believe the story.
He's Willie the self.
Well, I don't know. Why would Hogan have been telling people in TNA that story before Randy died? You know what I mean?
I didn't know that.
You don't know it?
Okay, fine.
Yeah, Meltzer said that he told people in TNA when he was working for TNA that he'd bumped into Randy and that they'd cleared the air and stuff. And I don't see any reason for Hogan just to...
No, okay, that changes everything. Then Nash came out, and Nash's speech was kind of like Hall's, where it was obviously a bit longer.
Hall's been 60 seconds long.
But it was short, and it was Nash, and he's very charming, and he's captivating.
Shawn was better than Nash.
But yeah, this is Shawn inducted Nash. Shawn was great. This is the thing, like, I saw, as main event speeches go, I saw the Four Horsemen speech, which was just incredible. I saw the Edge speech, which was phenomenal. I saw the Shawn speech live. I was there for Shawn going in. It was great. The Austin speech live was far too short, but it was very good. Nash, I think, was the closest thing to what you saw, which is Ted. Yeah. But then again, like, they did have a marquee name going in this year, but he wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So that was the Hall of Fame. So then, finally, it all comes true.
To Wrestlemania, yeah.
No. Troy gets us into the hotel.
Wow, okay.
So here we are in the hotel, dressed to the nines. We walk into the bar, walking around, just going, oh my god. And who's at the bar but Jerry Briscoe?
Okay, they're going to say Lawler.
Okay. So we go up and we start talking to Jerry Briscoe, and...
Who I would say is a really nice guy.
For some reason, Jerry Briscoe thinks that myself and Claire are the best people he ever met.
Okay.
An hour with Jerry.
Really?
Buying each other drinks, having the best time in the world. He was sitting with an executive, female executive, who is dating The Undertaker's agent, who was also there.
Right, okay.
And The Undertaker's agent was a very conservative man who I got into an argument with about global warming being real or not.
Which side were you on?
It is real.
It is, yes, okay.
Okay, so we were doing that. And then I cooled off a bit when I started telling The Undertaker's agent that I'm a big Tom Petty fan, and he's a huge Tom Petty fan. We were having a great time. And then Claire goes, tell the story about the Viagra at the gig. So I tell the story that we were doing a Tom Petty tribute gig, and I had a cup holder attached to my mic, and the stage was all set up, and I went for a piss before starting. I had a pint of water in my cup holder, and one of my friends thought it'd be really funny to smush 2 tablets of Viagra into my water before the gig. So during the gig, Gary Moore.
Okay.
So I start getting these, like, I'm trying to hit notes, and I'm almost blacking out hitting them, and on any other day I could hit them fairly well.
Yeah.
There's one note at the end of the waiting where he goes, the wait is the hardest, and it's a big note. I end up having to turn around and put my head on the drum riser because I think I'm going to die, right?
Fucking hell.
So I'm telling this story, and Jerry Briscoe, who has seen it all. He came up in the fucking 70s. He's seen the worst things. He's seen Freebirds piss on people. He's seen everything. He was captivated by this story. He said, it's one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. I was like, this Jerry Briscoe.
What a man.
Right? So Foxy comes up behind him. So Claire tells the story that she turns around and Alicia Fox has 3 gin and tonics and kind of like almost spills one and looks at Claire and goes, oh no. And Claire helps her bring it over. And they have a great time chatting. They're having a great old time. And who comes over? DDP, right?
Yes.
And Jerry goes, Dallas, these guys are here on their honeymoon. And he goes, I know, I met them yesterday. So he was really nice. We were all just drinking, having a great time. And Then that Troy guy runs over and goes, Neill, come here, there's a guy I want you to meet. And we're like, all right. And we get escorted over to a corner where Bret Hart is standing. So I'm like, oh my God. And Claire says something really nice to Bret, and Bret's response was, so do you want a picture? It's like, you sour piece of shit, Bret. Just say something before you come up with your end game to get out of here. So we get the picture of Bret wearing a gold shirt. Like, it's one. I have to show you the picture. It's a really cool picture. So anyway, towards the end of the night, things are getting sloppy, and we look over. No, Bret went straight to the hotel room. Okay. We saw Hogan walk past. Couldn't get in with Hogan, but Hogan was there. You know, I'm probably missing a few people. But then there is.
What's Hogan walk like?
I want to go back to Access. He was the VIP signing at Access, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to try. There is a joke here, but I'm going to try and be tasteful and not say it. So I said to Claire, we have to go over and just look at Hogan. Probably the closest I've ever been to him. So we go over to the side of the barrier. Now, during Access, as I said, they're on a podium, but every few minutes, disabled fans will come over, and obviously they can't go up the podium if they're wheelchair bound or whatever. So the guy usually comes down to them, spends a few minutes before the normal line reconvenes. So I see Hogan get up and walking down a couple of times, back up and down to the disabled folk every few minutes. And let me just say, if Hogan was coming to see anybody else at that signing, I know what line he would have been in. No, in all fairness, right? I've always thought that he, on television, had been moving a lot better when he's walking down the ramp, which is a mean feat for somebody who has arthritis in their toes, right? Yeah. The air pumps in his runners, the support and the heel is gigantic. Is it, yeah. And it's not because he's trying to maintain the hype, brother. He needs it. Yeah. And Jimmy Hart is legitimately, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Jimmy Hart is legitimately his personal assistant as well. So, but Hogan wasn't moving well. I just Claire was like, look, and he was like walking into the elevator. That was that night. So then the end of the night was us and the Job Squad.
Right.
So it was Ryder, Dolph, right? Okay. Jojo and
Jojo Offerman from
and Heath. And so we're walking around so we start talking to Jojo, and man, we got the most out of Jojo of anybody else. Right. She was so open. She was just, I was like, I don't mean to be, invasive here. I was just kind of like, I don't mean to like ask something I shouldn't, but the situation down there, it's so incredible. Do you even want to come up? And she was like, we're a family and it's amazing to be at NXT. And I was like, yeah, I'd say so. And we were saying, I said, I used to know Fergal Devitt and stuff. We were having a great chat. She wanted to see pictures of our wedding. And then in a really awkward moment, she was talking about her wedding and she said something to Christian as if he was in the conversation when he wasn't. He goes, what?
He goes, Christian Cage?
Like. Yeah, he goes, I don't know what you're talking about, right? And then the next thing happened.
Right.
I'm watching my wife and I just see this massive humanity hitting to her back. And I'm like, oh my God. And the big guy turns around and goes, pissed as a fart, and goes, who are you? Right?
The Ryback?
Yeah. And she goes, I'm Claire. And I just went, Ryback. And he was like, hi. So I got a picture of Ryback, right?
What was he wearing?
He was wearing a black t-shirt.
Was he not in a singlet, Neil? Come on.
He wasn't. I swear to God, I was staring at his back when he turned back after he took a picture with us. He turned back around. I was looking at his fucking back.
Yeah.
He's the biggest dude. Yeah. He's so wide. And then myself and Claire go back talking to Jojo, and Ryback falls into me. I thought I was going to die. The heaviest thing I've ever felt. He just goes. Ugh. He was so fucking, like, his eyes were beet red.
Really?
Yeah. So much so. We have a picture with him, yeah.
Oh my God.
I've got it on my phone here. Okay. But so much so that, like, I was just like, when I saw him the next day in the Battle Royal, I was like, how the fuck are you walking, mate? Yeah. Then we met Natalia.
I suppose a guy that size,
But he was fucked. Then we met Natalia, and that was pretty much our night in the Wrestlers Hotel. So next day was Wrestlemania. And so we get there, and we were going to try and meet with Troy to get into a special pre-party. Yeah. Didn't happen, right? Mm-hmm. And it was very sad because he met The Rock.
Did he?
He's a picture with him and The Rock.
That's really sad because that would have been a nice one. The Rock and Hogan are the only kind of two big ones off the list for you, really, aren't they?
Rock, Hogan, and Hunter.
Okay, yeah.
You met the big ones. Didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, so just Rock and Hogan.
Yeah.
Hunter,
well, Taker, maybe.
Oh yeah.
I
Taker's very elusive.
I know, that's why I was trying to talk to
Lesnar.
his agent so much.
Yeah.
Lesnar. Well, I've never meeting Lesnar. I wouldn't go near him. But so anyway, that didn't work. So we have a few minutes, and we're like, oh Jesus! It's right about the start of the pre-show. We're like, will we? Won't we? Will we stay? Will we? And we're like, grand. Okay, we're just going.
Yeah.
So we go to our seats, and I just got this sickening feeling in my stomach. And I said, Claire, I don't know if these are good now. Like, during the wedding, we had so much to organise, and I just remember getting what I could get.
Yeah.
And so we sit down, and immediately there's a pillar.
Oh no.
Now, thankfully, I had heard the stories due to being Observer subscriber that if there's a pillar in the way, you can ask. So I go up and I go, hey, we're just sat down, and she pointed up. So we're kind of hard cam side, right? We're close to the stage though, but facing the ring. Does that make sense? So a diagonal line, the stage is just to my left, and I'm staring at the pillar, right? If I'm looking at the ring.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. And she points up towards the hard camera, and you know the way that they have a whole section tarped off for the production area where the hard camera is? There's seats above that, and she goes, well, I can put you up there. And I go, grand. And she goes to walk away, and I go, sorry, just to let you know, we're on our honeymoon, and I'd appreciate anything you can do for us, and it would really be great. Like, I have no problem. Can I just pay to upgrade? I seriously, I'll pay anything. She was like, no, but just wait there. The next thing, she calls Claire over. She brings us over to this guy who had just sat Ronda Rousey to her seat.
Really?
He comes over to us. She gives him 2 new tickets, and he goes, all right, come this way. So they bring us around as if we're now staring at the stage.
Yeah.
And we go through, and on our left-hand side are the fucking custom chairs.
Right.
The ones you get to take home.
Yeah.
So that's rows 1 to 12,
Yeah.
right? And then there's the other ones. And I go, oh my God, we're going to be near the custom chairs. And he goes, there you go. Seat 1 and 2 in row 12 on the custom chairs.
Wow.
So we're sitting there losing our mind. And I don't think I've ever been so happy in my life. Yeah. And my response to this was when other people are reacting to Cesaro doing the big swing, I was shaking my arms up and down in the air saying, I'm having fun! It was like we were so out of our minds. Like I think I'd had 1 beer that day, maybe 2. Yeah. But I was out of my. Oh, by the way, your man Brian, they arranged a limo for us to go to Wrestlemania. Wow. So we got a limo up to the gates of Wrestlemania. He was just incredible. He actually wasn't PJ Placco, but he was very good. So we were sitting there and we're ridiculous. Like, we're saying things like, we were issued new tickets, but we're thinking, like, we can't leave these seats for whatever reason. Like, we were literally stunned with emotion. Yeah. So anyway, that was all during the tag match. Then we saw the Battle Royal. Obviously, Sandow not winning was a big disappointment. So anyway, then the main show came on. And the ladder match, Brian's reaction was really big. Now, me and you texted throughout this, so we can kind of have a proper conversation. Yeah. So Brian's reaction was huge in the building. Now, we just open air, right?
Yeah.
But his reaction was huge. The weird thing was, I was at an angle, though I was so close, I was too close to see the Tron above the ring.
Okay.
And the pillar that was originally blocking us was blocking the Tron above the stage, right? So I had to look back to the back of the arena where the pre-show ends, right? No. See, so when Dean went through the ladder, and I thought he had lost his life, I turned around, and I'm not lying, right? Turned around and looked at me. 40 rows of people then turned around as if they thought I was looking at something else. So that was pretty incredible. Okay, I'll just get the card up here because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but in order anyway. But let's have a quick look here. So what do you think of the ladder match, I suppose?
I thought the ladder match was good. It was like it wasn't as good as I kind of hoped. I'd hoped it would get maybe 18-20 minutes, but it was kind of short. So it was like 3.5, 3.75 is good. Wasn't as good as I expected though.
Okay. Next up was Randy and Seth, and a lot of people loved this match. I actually preferred watching it back. Okay. On TV. Obviously the finish was really, really cool, as was the attempted Phoenix Splash and stuff like that. But did you like the match?
I thought it was really, really good. I would have said it was marginally better than the ladder match. I would have said the ladder match maybe 3.5. This was probably 3.75. Not a fantastic match, but Randy Orton's had a lot of matches that I would say were between 3 and 3.5, like the Punk one. That Kane one when we were there was 2, maybe 2.5. He's had a lot of mid card. They always give him a match at WrestleMania because he's Randy Orton.
Yeah.
but he's never really done anything important since sort of 25. And so I thought it was a real good match. I thought the right guy went over. As we discussed at the time, I won money on it. So
yes, exactly. Next was Sting and Triple H. The entrances were amazing. I cried during Sting's entrance.
I didn't really understand Sting's entrance. I appreciated the attempt to do an entrance for Sting. This was the one spot, more so than even The Undertaker and Bray Wyatt, that I wished it was dark.
Really?
Yeah, because for Sting,
I suppose.
By the way, just on now that it's been and gone, can we just agree that you more than most people agree with me here? I think about 20% of Sting's act was lost by changing his music of his impact.
Yeah, it's a very interesting.
It's like when they changed Brett's music in 2010.
It's not as bad as that though, because it's worse than that, because the Brett thing was just the intro. Everything else was just a slightly.
It was so unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. The thing for me was with Sting is that entrance is supposed to create excitement, and they obviously looked at the WCW theme, which was a pretty brooding theme anyway, and they wanted to expand on that, but what they ended up doing was making a less exciting theme.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, will they ever get here, And the song itself, by the way, is terrible.
I don't know why they wouldn't, because I don't know why they wouldn't use it.
I'm reminded of a quote by John Carpenter when he talked about Halloween 2 and making Mike Myers related to Jamie Lee Curtis's character, when he said it was 2 a.m. and I had a 6-pack of beer and no better ideas. That's what I think of Jim Johnson's tune here.
Yeah, well, Jim Johnson suppose isn't doing the majority of them anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So what do you think of Hunter's entrance? By the way it was shot, it was far better live.
It was better live, really.
Way better.
I thought it was just. I'm not a big entrance guy, so I was just like. I will say this: it was better than when he comes out in fucking horses or some of this shit in the last few years.
Well, if that had happened, I don't know. Anyway, this match was my favourite thing on the show.
I thought it was fantastic. And before we say anything else, can I just say, the way Meltzer rewatched it and said it went from being fantastic to being dreadful?
Yeah.
Just bollocks.
Yes, such bollocks.
He just literally... Because the night of the show, he said he'd heard from people who told him how shit the commentary was and how it ruined it.
Yeah.
And he just literally went into watching it on TV with that in his mind and decided it was right. It wasn't right. I watched this match. If you watch a lot of WWE, you don't fucking listen to Cole and Booker and JBL, because they're just Vince McMahon's parrots. They don't say anything of interest. What's interesting is what's happening in the ring.
Yeah.
And, obviously everyone has talked about how it was kind of curious that the NWO was Sting's backup, but... Did you when DX came out know the NWO were coming out next?
No.
Okay, I did, and I knew it, and I couldn't wait for it. When it happened, I was like, yes!
Okay, right, let's just backtrack a bit here. First off, Meltzer has lost a lot of credibility with me.
Okay.
Because he rated this match after watching it back, not
second
being
time.
there live, right? The Observer
Which is
ratings
bullshit.
So he gave this the same rating as the Divas match. Go figure.
What did you give it?
2.5 stars. Let me just... Okay, that is an indictment alone.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, and this is what made it for me, 2 points. If you had told me Sting was losing when I walked into the Levi Stadium, I would have turned around and walked out.
Yeah, I would have been devastated too.
They did this in such a way that Sting... I was fine with it. I reacted more to this match than I have any other match, including Taker and Michaels at 25, that I've ever been to live.
Yeah, hang on, Rock and Cena when you ripped off your shirt at Mania 28.
Yeah, but just in terms of consistent reaction throughout the match. Okay, I lost my mind more than anything else, and the real take-home point of this match for me, to make it a classic, is this match provided a type of entertainment for a long-term wrestling fan that only pro wrestling can do.
Absolutely.
This was a spectacle that only this business can provide.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
And if you're locked into it and not being a dickhead saying, the NWO never liked Sting, the fact is Sting and Hogan have been friends more than they've been enemies. If you look at it, it was absolutely tremendous. I don't really want to go through it step by step, but in terms of the run-ins, the DX run-in was... People were legitimately shocked and didn't know what was happening. The NWO run-in was...
Walk-in.
Walk-in, yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest pops of the night.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have worn red and black. That's
nah, you had to wear... I think you have to wear black and white.
Okay.
I know what you mean for the story consistency, but...
Sting wore a fucking red t-shirt the next night, the Red Scorpion t-shirt for the first time. So it's kind of like, if you had it...
Oh, after
I was
all.
wearing red in his face. So, but anyway... what I thought after Shawn interfered was,
Flair?
man, if they had fucking done Flair or Goldberg, imagine Goldberg getting his full entrance to be the person to make it 4v4.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But for the story they were telling, you needed it not to be another WCW guy, really.
Yeah, I believe so. It was a tremendous spectacle. If it is Sting's last match, I'm honoured. I've gone to several WrestleManias where I thought I'd see Sting. I thought I'd see him at 27 when I bought my tickets. They couldn't get the deal done. I thought I'd see him debut on Raw the night after 30 because that was the rumour. So I couldn't be happier, and I loved it. And I thought Sting, given the fact that he hadn't been in the ring in so long, moved great. And the main thing for me, and I said it to you then, and I said to you before I even left the country, was if this man gets into enough good shape, they just have to wear a t-shirt. That's all I want. And he didn't have to wear a t-shirt, and he looked like Sting.
He looked fine, yeah, he did. And I wasn't too disappointed. Again, we were just talking back and forth during the show. I also betted on Hunter here at long odds, so I made big money in this match. Because I just felt like, as much as I personally, probably more than you, because I've always been a big Sting guy, wanted Sting to win, I just thought Hunter is 43. He's going to do a Mania every year.
Yeah.
He lost a lot of Manias recently. I felt like I think he lost it most of them, other than he won one recently, but then he lost a few to Undertaker. He lost to Bryan.
He lost to Taker. He lost to Bryan. He beat Lesnar.
Lesnar was the one he won, yeah, but he'd lost 3 or 4, and I just felt like you can't. It's it's like the way they never protected Flair. You can't have the legend constantly lose, or else you lose the idea that he's giving people the rub. You know what I mean? And if ever he's going to beat someone, you beat the guy who's in his late 50s, who's probably not coming back. And I just felt like, as well, it's Vince. He's still fighting that war.
That's a fine mentality, if you want to read their mentality. But I don't think that a guy who is essentially the main heel in the company can't lose a match, get himself back over the space of 52 weeks till him and Rock become something viable. And Sting can't go against Taker now.
I mean, he can, but it loses something. Yeah,
they to big up one match, they've sacrificed another, and I think if it had gone the other way, they could have gotten dividends from both.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's my opinion. AJD and Paige's Bell Twins, this is when I'll talk about Levi Stadium, this new facility.
With all its connectivity.
This is when we went in to get some food. We were just so happy we didn't even bother really caring about drink. Unlike other menus, they didn't have people going around with beers, especially because we were on the floor level. So we went in to get food and beer. And Jesus Christ, the facilities in this place. Oh, man. They had everything you could ever want. We got like nachos and chips and southern fried things and loads of beer and
southern fried things. I'm glad you said that, because it wasn't chicken, Neil.
No, southern fried gimmicks. Chicken fried steak king. John Cena versus Rusev. I've got another little bit of fantasy booking here. Okay. Yeah, Claire was on her phone, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, because I was on my phone a lot, and she criticised me every year for contacting you and Dan and other people. But there's one time she was on her phone looking at pictures, I think.
Right.
And I had to grab her shoulder and scream, "He's on a tank! He is on a tank!" Right?
That was a very cool visual. It was the one entrance I was impressed with.
Oh, by the way, before Mania started, and I haven't gone on the website to check this, because of the way me and Claire were dressed, because we were so close to the front, they brought us outside of the seats into the aisle, and they did a time-lapse video where they had a camera on a train that went chick, 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 and took 12 videos in panoramic fashion. So we had to hold this pose, right?
Really?
So I was saying to Claire, like, with my mouth like completely as still as I going, "I'm getting very uncomfortable now, Claire." It was pretty cool. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
John Cena is John Cena, and it's kind of amazing when you look back at his legacy that at the biggest show of the year, he's going to always be booed. And it's kind of hilarious when you look back at his legacy. Right? They missed a golden opportunity here, right? In my opinion. And people have agreed with me and disagreed with me about this. What is this feud? It's Rocky IV. Okay? Lana playing Bridget Jones, Rusev playing Dragu, Cena playing Rocky.
Bridget Jones?
On the line. Yeah.
Is that her name in the movie?
No, but that's the actress's name. I can't remember. Okay. So
it's Bridget Nielsen or something, isn't it?
Bridget Nielsen.
Bridget Jones' diary.
Pause for editing. Okay. No, I won't. I'll leave it in. So.
It's Rocky IV, yeah.
Okay, it's Rocky IV. What would have happened, right, if John Cena's music had hit, the boos would have started, and then they did a scratch thing on the Dynatron that went and the American flag came up, and Burning Heart by Survivor comes on, and Cena comes out in Don Fry tights, red
Red,
and
white,
white and blue boots, waving an American flag, I would have cheered John Cena.
I think they.
I would have cheered John Cena.
I really wanted them to go hard with the American flag stuff for him.
Fucking idiots.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't.
All he had to do was. And it wasn't like they actually gave him much of an entrance.
No, they gave him no entrance, which I was really interested in.
Army lads or something. Anyway, it was an okay match.
Yeah.
I'd say the Fastlane match was better.
This was the worst match in the show aside from the Divas match, I thought.
Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. Undertaker's entrance. Everybody's saying he looks so much younger.
I thought he did. I thought he looked a decade younger.
My theory is this: if you're bald and have a jet dyed black schmig / Satan beard like you did last year, and you're wearing a singlet that exposes the size of your legs in proportion to your upper body, which is always going to be bigger if you're a weightlifter, compared to if you're wearing essentially street clothes or dead man taker clothes, a full head of hair aside from balding and a goatee, of course he's going to look younger.
Yeah, of course, but he did. That's the point.
But I don't think he looked like he'd turned the clock back, like people are saying.
I think he'd stylized himself to look younger, but I also think his body definitely looked younger.
He did look like Dead Man Taker.
He did.
He looked like exactly.
To the point it was almost like, is he Dead Man Taker? You know?
But it wasn't even like, when he came back as Zorro at WrestleMania 20 and he was in between Dead Man Taker and what would eventually.
I love that.
He literally looked like, because of the length of his hair, 2003 Taker.
Yeah, all he needs is a bandana.
Yeah, it was an okay match in my opinion.
I thought it was good. I was 3 stars.
The main event.
By the way,
go ahead.
Just the masturbatory moment of the show. I've never been more spot on than I was about Bray Wyatt a year ago when we first discussed him. He's just there's just nothing. It's just it's smoke and mirrors, and when you get past smoke and mirrors, there ain't nothing. He's not great in the ring. His promos don't make any sense. He's not over anymore. And this company, I mean, they had 2 huge acts in the Shield and the Wyatt family. And a year on, 5 out of the 6 men are way less over than they were because they split them up.
I'd say Seth and Roman are pretty okay.
Roman's not as over as he was as a babyface. No, he isn't at all.
Well, no, he's not as over as a babyface.
Yeah, so he's not as over.
Do you think that they could have done something with Wyatt, though? That it's as much their fault as his? Like, take the ability versus the booking.
It's just, there's no... His matches are bad.
Speaking of the match, you were talking about calling things. In January, on this very show, I called, when we heard this match was rumoured, the spider walk into the sit-up spot.
Oh, you did, yeah, spot on. And that was the best spot in the match. Like I said, it was a good match. It was just, that was all it was. It was better than Cena Rusev. I thought it was 3 stars.
Like, legit, Mark, when it happened, I screamed, I called that as well. And lots of people turned around and were like, who is this fool dressed like that? Oh, also, in the Sting Triple H match, when Hogan took a bump.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Then all this other stuff happening, and Scott Hall went for Razor's Edge, got back, it was just popping. About 30 seconds elapsed, and the crowd started to die down a bit, and I shouted at the top of my lungs, with legit sincerity, is Hogan okay? Because I never thought I'd see him fall again.
Yeah.
Alright? So the main event had the most heat in the entire show. They gave everybody spectacular entrances. It was pointed out to me afterwards by a few people that they knew he was going to cash in because Brock and Roman, in terms of pyro, got the celebratory entrance. Or sorry, what they get is a celebratory show during their entrances.
Pyro,
yeah.
They had punked at 28 and you got it both before and after. So
you're absolutely right. That's a very good point. Anyway, this was a phenomenal match.
Yes, it was.
Brock Lesnar, seeing Brock Lesnar that close, Jesus Christ, Ken.
Yeah.
Seeing that man that close.
He doesn't look as sick as he has at recent times, though. He didn't look purple.
No, he didn't.
No.
He legitimately busted himself over by running his head into a metal pole.
Yeah.
Not to be advised.
Yeah, a very, very solid steel pole, yeah.
And Seth's... It
was a fantastic match. And
yeah.
I don't think Roman got enough credit for his selling here. I thought he was excellent.
He was good.
And Roman also held up his end of the bargain against Daniel Bryan. And those are 2 very disparate opponents. And, Triple H had 3, 2.5 star matches with Brock Lesnar, you know what I mean? And he didn't get a match as good out of Daniel Bryan as Roman Reigns did, so...
It's a different thing. And it's become a trait. Brock Lesnar matches need to be extremely one-sided. This is what his gimmick has become. Which rules out...
It's going to be hard when he's a babyface, though.
Yeah, exactly. True. It also rules out the match with Austin. And Triple H wasn't going to be willing to do that.
Bryan.
Tell me what the last match that Triple H bumped around for 10 minutes was. I can tell you.
Was it when The Undertaker won this?
No. Literally being a crash test dummy for 10 minutes straight.
Maybe an Evolution Shield match last year?
Steiner. Steiner at the Royal Rumble was the last time that Triple H got suplexed out of his mind.
I remember
and I don't
that,
think he's
yeah.
going to be willing to do that. Anyway,
I watched that recently.
Seth's cash. Why?
Because of that reason, you know.
Seth's cash in was a huge thing. And when the match finished, did you notice the way that Brock was sitting on the edge of the ring? Mm-hmm. We legged it over to the barrier to where the announcers were, and I was just like, he's as close to like obviously
Yeah,
the
gonna
view,
be,
but
yeah.
like it's where the conservatory was. I was just like, oh my god, it's Brock Lesnar. But yeah, and then we got to take our chairs.
Yeah, so you got your chair in there somewhere, have you?
We got our we have the 2 chairs.
Why are we not sitting on them, Neil? Are they not for sitting on?
That's a ridiculously good point.
Oh, yeah, it's a very good point, really.
Yeah, but long story short, we'll do Raw now. But BA lost one of the chairs on the way home.
What?
Yeah, and I had to pay $81 each for the chair, so they lost something I had paid for.
So what did they do? Did they refund you, or?
Suffice to say, I am in a tremendous battle with them at the moment because of everything.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The max I can get is 1,300, and I'm aiming high,
it.
pal.
You get it, man.
They've already given me 3, but no, give me $1,000, you bastards. It's the emotional damage for the first thing is what got me.
Yeah.
But anyway, Raw.
So you still have one though?
No, they returned it.
Oh, you got it in the end.
I got it in the end.
I thought you said they literally, completely and utterly lost it. Anyway, go on.
Raw the next night then. We went back to the Wrestlers Hotel on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Not much doing. They were clearly not in the Residence Bar. They were somewhere else.
Okay.
But I did get to meet Flair again.
All in then. Was this your best live WrestleMania? Your favorite?
It was definitely the most consistently entertaining WrestleMania.
I think it was the most consistent. Like, I always, we discussed Dave going 2.5 stars for Sting versus Triple H, whereas when he spoke about it the first night, it was probably close to 4. You know what I mean? Or 3.5, 3.75. I always believe that you rate something off your live experience.
Yeah.
And we were going back and forth afterwards. This was the WrestleMania more than any other that when the show was over, I thought that was the best WrestleMania I ever saw.
Live, I would have to say that I enjoyed 30 just as much because because the opener was phenomenal. The Battle Royal had so many unbelievably fun spots. I like Taker and Wyatt more than most, Cena and Wyatt more than most people. Being there for the streak ending was incredibly, indescribably special, and the drama at the end of the main event was far greater than anything on this show.
Yeah,
you've battled with me about 30. You think 28 was better than 30? For God's sake.
Well, if you're looking at pure like match stars versus match stars, 28 was much better than 30.
I don't know if it evens out, but
just in terms of matches, the only thing I really enjoyed on 30 was the Bryan stuff. I thought the Battle Royal was okay. The Undertaker match, as great as not great as memorable a moment as the streak ending was.
Yeah,
it was a shit match, and I thought it was the wrong move, and I still think it was the wrong move to this day. So it didn't
really.
Yeah, it didn't make.
Brock's still heavily protected, and if he becomes the new Steve Austin,
I know he is. I just don't think it was something. They got the great moment out of it, but I just don't think it was something that he should have ever done. Just my opinion. So the only thing I enjoyed at WrestleMania 30 was the first match and the last match. But for me, it felt so belated because I always felt like
the opening segment, Ken.
Well, that was fun as well. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. But
I think you're being cruel to 30.
No, but what did I just say about? Okay, I said to you that WrestleMania 31 is my favourite WrestleMania of all time, right? I can objectively sit here and say to you there were better matches at WrestleMania 17 and probably WrestleMania 19, right?
So there were. Like on an average, the matches were better. However, just from start to finish, I enjoyed 31 more. 30, honest to God, I didn't. Ken?
What?
Is it to do with low expectations?
No, because my expectations, if you recall, spiraled. Remember I was saying it could be one of the better ones of all time?
You did, actually.
They did spiral a great deal because I felt once Lesnar re-signed that everything was in place for a good show. But the thing with 30 was, I felt like when Bryan won the championship off Cena at SummerSlam, that was his moment. And it always felt like in those few months afterwards, it felt like it wasn't going to be much when it happened. Now, the fact that it ended up being delayed all the way to WrestleMania, it was a phenomenal spectacle, but it just felt, I don't say too little too late, but it just felt like I sat down at 5 to 12 to watch it and was just waiting for the moment where he won the championship. And it wasn't like, to me, it wasn't as good as the Benoit championship win at WrestleMania. It wasn't good as Bryan's win at SummerSlam the previous year. The match with Hunter was 4 stars, but no more than 4 stars. the main event itself was a fantastic match. There were moments where I believed.
There is just an also thing with like expectation in terms of like you knew that you were watching the coronation of Daniel Bryan last year. Mm-hmm. You pretty much knew. Mm-hmm. This year we had no idea what was happening in the main event, and that's a different dynamic.
Yeah, but like I said, all I can judge him on is how much I enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it. In like 28, I wanted Cena to win that match. I really genuinely did. But to be there for The Rock winning that because I wasn't caught up in the pandemonium as much as you, to look around that stadium and see the sheer fucking joy is just such a wonderful moment.
Like, a lot of us didn't think it was happening.
It was like Connor in the O2 or the 3 Arena, whatever you call it, last year.
Sure.
And the Taker match was much, much, much better than last year's, and the Punk Jericho match was like, for me it was like 4.5 stars. I think Dave gave it 4 or something.
Interesting.
But so for me, and I really enjoyed the Bros Clay thing. And
I wouldn't put that against
but live
30 though.
What? No. And
okay, no, that's a fair. Okay,
I just enjoyed it more.
Obviously, it's very interesting because what we're going on here is we're going on a really weird mishmash of live versus tape perspective because we both were at 28, we both weren't at 30. I was blah 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 blah.
And I will say this as well. It's much harder for me to really enjoy a show when it's just me, like, and I didn't have Dave or Reggie or anyone.
Yeah.
It can be very difficult to get me to get into a show, which 30 probably suffered from, which is why, even more so, I was impressed by 31, because it really got me to the show.
I couldn't empathise with you more, because I'm thankfully in a situation where...
you never have to do that.
I can't remember the last time I watched a pay-per-view by myself.
There you go, yeah.
Alright, so finally on 31, how much did you win?
I won about €130. Basically, how it happened was, I got... I think it's on the F4W page, like basically one of those ads on the side of the page saying, if you bet a tenner, we'll give you 20 quid free to bet. It's basically they want you to come in, bet, and then you're going to start becoming a gambler. So basically I bet 15 or 20 quid on my own money and got like 20 or 30 because I did this on 2 betting sites.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, but my biggest winners were
you bet on set, did you?
Were Randy and Randy's and Trips, yeah.
Okay.
They got me the majority of my money.
Alright, not much really to talk about Raw.
Although, I did bet, on both sites, I bet a tenner on the Bellas, and I lost all that money.
Okay. Alright. The Raw the next night, the crowd were insane, but only in the last hour when they started to get disinterested.
The Raw the next night...
now, we were lucky enough to see the Bryan and Ziggler match. The Brock stuff was incredible. Like
the Brock stuff was amazing.
To see them say like Brock is going to wrestle tonight.
Why was that not the end of the show?
I don't know, because they had to have Seth in the main event.
The main event.
Look, listen. It was. I said to Claire after
Brock Lesnar left, that show was in the toilet.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. The top of the second hour, going into last hour, was the end of the Cena Ambrose match, and I said to Claire. And it was very naive on my point and not really big picture thinking, but I said to Claire, if Dean Ambrose had won that match, that would have been my favourite 2 hours of Raw ever. Little did I know what the third hour was going to be, though. You know what I mean? And it was pretty rough, but the crowd was the usual crowd.
Here's what I will say, right? Like the best, to me, the best 2 Raw moments post Mania, or best 3, that Brock moment, the Brock moment when we were there, and Ziggler winning and cashing in.
Yeah,
the best 3 but in terms of that Raw, it just kind of felt like, okay, the main events of Mania, we had no Triple H, I believe, was he on the show? I don't think he was. Sting wasn't on the show for me anyway, because he wasn't on the Raw show.
Yeah.
Taker wasn't there. Wyatt wasn't there, I don't think.
Nope.
Rusev didn't make any appearance, did he? It was just like, for me, it was like about 60% of WrestleMania didn't happen, and it's so deflating.
Yeah, it was really,
like,
really.
At least have Hunter come out and crow. Why don't you just some sort of follow up? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that was. But one thing about that Sting thing that happened off the air, those Undertaker chants were fucking deafening.
Yeah, see, that's why I think they still have to go to it, and I don't think they have anything better. But I have felt all along, and I felt that it was reflected in the finish, that Vince just doesn't. Whether it's because of his age, because he's a WCW guy, there's just that weird thing.
Well, this was before Vince saw the match. I think maybe he might have convinced him. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Cena and Taker.
Cena is in a really funny spot at the moment because he is by far and away the highlight of the show at the minute. He has good matches every single week. He's not in the main events. He's not coming.
He did have a match with Kane this weekend.
He's not cutting. That's true. I didn't see it though. He's not cutting his long, shitty 15-minute humorous promos. And the people who boo him have obviously just forgotten why they started booing him, because none of those things are really in play anymore, but it's just still the cool thing
His
to do.
stunner is the shits.
It is the shits, yeah.
Okay, well then, moving on to news and current affairs. Daniel Bryan's injury, all we know is he's been evaluated yesterday. We still don't know if the match is on or off. The Observer said
Neville
5 weeks, so that means he matches off.
Yeah.
Do they strip him of the belt?
Yeah, I think they do. I think Barrett beating Neville, or Neville beating Barrett rather, was to set up that match for the pay-per-view,
Really?
for the championship, yeah. Which I think Barrett wins, although I could well see them doing
I could well see them giving it to Neville, and then the belt becomes what it became.
Yeah, like Kofi Kingston, Chris Jericho in the summer 2008.
Clearly the idea was to have the parallel between Cena and Bryan as the defending champions, to help elevate the belt, to have great matches on TV, and they were going to be guaranteed that. Bryan, if he does get stripped of the belt, when he comes back, I really, really don't know what they'll have for him.
No. Like I've been saying to you, I really feel like in this era where Edge was forced to retire, where Mick Foley built a program with Dean Ambrose only for them to say, look, we can't do it, I feel like if they have a lot of suspicions that he could well be done.
We don't know it's his neck, though, for a fact.
Yeah, but the fact that we don't, and like you say, the Observer said 5 weeks, but there's been so many contradictions in their reporting of it.
Yeah.
Like they're like, he might make the match. How is it 5 weeks and he might make the match on Sunday? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Dave, in fact, when Bryan first said, what's going on with Daniel Bryan, he said, the answer is, I don't know. He's heard different things from different people. I think it's his neck.
Okay, well, we'll wait and see. Let's see, any more news? Obviously, Todd Martin and Wrestling
Yeah.
Observer. It's very sad. The highlight on
Did you hear Todd yesterday then in the end?
So it's on the
Shake Them
Ropes.
Todd appeared on Shake Them Ropes, and
is it a good show? Should I listen to it?
yeah, because it's Todd, you know.
Okay.
Although, have you ever listened to Shake Them Ropes? No.
No.
Okay.
Is that Rob McCarran?
Yeah, Rob is the host, and Rob's actually fine. He's okay.
Where's he from?
But no idea.
Is he
Somewhere in
American?
the States. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
But his co-host, just you know when you just hear someone's voice and you're like, fuck off.
Right.
His voice just like because I subscribed to this podcast previously because it had Mookie Ghana on it and stuff. But anyway, Todd was asked to address the situation. He said, "No, I have not been fired from, nor have I quit Wrestling Observer / Figure 4 Online. And you will hear me again soon, whether it be there or maybe somewhere else."
So, what is the issue? He obviously had the fight on the board.
We can only speculate. I really don't believe that's the entirety of it, though. I think.
I do.
Yeah, but there's got to be.
I think he said it's him or me.
Well, Coffin's gone.
Is he officially gone?
I believe so, yeah. There's a lot of talk on the board that Coffin's officially done. But I feel like... Do you know what I feel it is? I feel like there's maybe a clash between him and Dave. Like maybe Dave said, you need to go and apologise on the board. Or Dave gave him... Because Dave seems like he could... You know, do you remember when Coughlin... he was doing a UFC report. You might not have even known about this.
Oh, the one where he didn't report on it properly.
Yeah, and Dave just put, real quick, this is never going to happen again, or something on the board.
I saw that. Yeah. I did see that.
And Coughlin hasn't done anything since, really. So I think maybe Dave came down hard about it, which would be weird, because Dave comes out with some shite on the board as well. Like,
yeah.
But there's clearly... For the situation to be in limbo, there has to be a reason.
I think that...
I can't see Bryan kind of...
I personally think the Coughlin thing was his personal issues that I suppose he's...
It is, clearly, yeah.
Ahead. So they've said to Coughlin to take a break. But I think Todd wants more than that. I think Todd is like, it's a him or me, I can't be...
Coughlin does almost nothing on the site anymore.
No, he does a show.
Very, very, very rarely. And I mean, he's useless, like... I hate Coughlin.
I don't understand why he ever got a show.
No. But yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully we don't lose that show, because it's such a key part of the site. You know what I mean? It's the only really Figure 4 daily. You know?
Yeah, it is. Speaking of shows, we'll keep with the podcast world. Anything recently you've listened to that you've enjoyed? I heard Triple H was on a podcast on Podcast One, but not from a wrestler side.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear that.
Todd Grisham and Taz is very good.
Really?
Really good. Todd Grisham is a very, very, very funny, quick guy.
Really?
Yeah, it's shockingly good. He's just taking the piss out of Taz.
That is an interesting one. No, I can think of one podcast I listened to recently, a wrestler's one, that was really good, and I cannot for the life of me.
Regal and Jericho?
Regal and Jericho was very good. I thought Vicky Guerrero was very good on Jericho's show as well.
I haven't heard that one. Was
Have
it
you
good
not?
yet?
It was good, yeah, it was good in places.
Austin has really been
just him, Kristen.
coming to an end, is it?
No, I don't think it is.
Look, I don't know if he can maintain 2 shows a week. I can see them maybe cutting down to 1. The only wrestler he's had on since WrestleMania is Shane Douglas.
Yeah, which was today. I haven't heard that. Have you heard that yet?
No, I just saw it here.
It's just been very, very almost lazy, hasn't it? He's just like, it is a lot. 2 shows is a lot, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
Especially when it's a one-man show, basically.
And he's not able to tough enough, and there's a lot of rumours of a rift between him and WWE.
Yeah, did you hear him addressing this again?
Yeah, he said there's nothing to it.
He said they're still working on stuff together. I believe that there is nothing overt. No one has said to Steve there's any problem, but Vince is like, you know Vince's thing. He's not on board with this. He won't do tough enough.
Like,
yeah.
Look at the J.J. Jones story. It doesn't ever have to be to your face.
Exactly. Yeah. So I believe Vince is pissed at him. I believe Steve probably knows that as well, but he knows the game. He knows there's no point in coming out swinging against them. They're going to do business. I think he probably learned from what happened in 2002 when the company buried him and all that.
Yeah.
So
Austin was
incidentally, by the way, what never gets discussed?
Go on.
His domestic violence incident with Deborah.
You're absolutely right.
Has anything ever been more swept under the carpet? Like?
No, and it's unfortunate because I remember we all like Steve Austin, but when this podcast first came out, it became evident that this guy is so special. He reminded us why he was such a success story. He's captivating. We were able to listen to a point to his non-wrestling shows and still be entertained by them. That's obviously over time the blooms come off the rose. But
there again, I
remember saying to Claire, I love Steve Austin, and Claire saying he did beat up his wife, and me saying, "Oh shit, yeah."
Well, we don't. What was the exact? I think she said that he pushed her to the ground. Was it?
He was arrested. He did.
Yeah, did he push her to the ground, or did he?
I don't know. He does allude to it. Out again, he talks about mistakes he's made, and I think besides ignoring his first 3 kids, I think this is the other thing.
It's 2 kids, isn't it? 2 kids. The 2 girls in England, right?
2 girls. Okay.
He only has 2 kids. He doesn't have any more, does he?
I guess not.
No. They're in one of his DVDs, you know that?
Really, yeah?
Yeah, and they're really cute kids, and they live in England, and so is Lady Blossom, his ex-wife.
Yes, Jesus.
And
that's amazing, because she was with
Chris Adams.
Who trained him, that he always talks about in a fond way, but truly him and Chris Adams fell out over that, didn't they? Because she left Chris Adams for him.
I thought there was a bit of a gap there, but I could be wrong.
Alright. Shawn Michaels was on Jim Ross's podcast,
yes, so
and he did mention that he'd been offered. He alluded to the fact that he wasn't going to do it, but he never said he wasn't outright. He's been offered a match at 32.
Yeah.
You do him and Brian if you can, I presume.
No, I don't think they see Brian. If you think they...
Well, okay.
Listen, if they saw Brian at the Intercontinental Championship level now, and he's got more injury problems, they don't see him there.
Okay. But who do you do it then? Shawn and Seth? Shawn and Roman? Shawn and Bray?
It's got to be a heel, and they've no heels.
Yeah, I'd be worried about
they
that.
Really, by the way, this let's just, because we're gonna discuss Extreme Rules briefly, I think here. They've no heels, like none at all.
Sheamus,
it's never been.
Push Sheamus to the moon.
And listen, if they brought Sheamus back and they put him with the Authority and straight in the main events, I would be delighted because he can work. I'm not particularly interested in Sheamus, but he always has good matches. But
I want to see Sheamus and Brock, Ken.
That would be a great match, yeah.
So good.
But I just don't understand, and I thought to myself, you've got to turn someone who you turn. I thought Ryback was one obvious person, even though I think he's much better suited as a babyface.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're going with him and Wyatt.
They turned him recently, so yeah. By the way, for those of you who don't know, that's what the Wyatt promos are.
And if you look at it, like as well as the absolute dearth of heels they have now, Kane and Wyatt both look like they're on the verge of being babyfaces to me.
Yeah, well, especially Kane.
Yeah, Kane.
I actually think they've done an okay job making Kane compelling. I think you need to watch Raw this week as well.
I knew we were going to discuss this. I've never not thought that Kane was... I think Kane... You know the way we've discussed a few times whether Rollins is a good promo or not.
Yes.
I think that when it comes to what I say about that, which is that he delivers their bad dialogue very well or whatever, nobody in that company does it better than Kane. I think he's fantastic.
He does get the worst dialogue.
Yeah, and he often does really, really well with it.
He's in great shape for his age.
He is in great shape for his age, but at the end of the day, he's 47, he's walking around in dress pants and...
Yeah, Jesus God.
Yeah, to me, he's a guy you have to have the mask on Kane at all times.
I believe so. Any other news before we get to Extreme Rules?
No, I don't think so. Just I think, briefly, because we've had many long discussions on the network here, the fact that they're at a level now where 1.3 million, where if they kept the spending to the same level as it was the back end of last year, they could make close to as much money as they have
on pay-per-view.
Yeah, but instead they're going to go back and spend an extra $70 million a year on programming. I just can't. Vince McMahon, I mean, literally will go to his grave never having learned a lesson. He's just bullish. And
what's the theory? The theory is, well, while people are getting on board, we might as well make the content better.
They're bullish. They feel like we've grown from, where were they, 700,000, we're at 1.3 million.
We keep giving not at 1.3 million now.
No, I'm sure they're not. But well, maybe they are with the free April.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In May. Payback.
But like, it's just like, no one is going to subscribe to your network to see Corey Graves walk around the Marvel Studios, whatever the fuck he's doing this week, or to see Jerry Springer introduce clips of the Attitude Area.
God,
and can I just, one thing I need to fucking address, okay? I never ever want to see another clip or full episode of anything from the WWF between the end of 1997 and the beginning of 2000. It's done to death. If you actually go back and watch the shows, which I did back then, they are largely terrible with some good main event stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, there's nothing exciting to me about seeing fucking Mark Henry feeling up a transvestite in 1998, going back and watching that now. It's not this cutting edge shit, it's just crap. So much of the Attitude Era was shit. And I'm sick of having it stuffed down my throat.
It's very telling as well that
it's the only thing they go back to.
They go back to so much, yeah. All right, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro against the New Day. This is very interesting.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Tyson and Cesaro weren't on Raw.
This should be on a pay-per-view, by the way.
What are they trying to do here?
I just think they know they're going to be baby faces in Chicago, and the New Day are heels already, and Chicago will especially turn on them. So I think it's smart.
Are we going to get a lot of CM Punk chants?
I think people are over that by now, aren't they?
Not in Chicago, perhaps.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't expect that much.
Seth Rollins. Oh, sorry, I'll go from the other side here. Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper in Chicago street fight. Could be a very good match.
Yes, it could. Can we just, on the subject of CM Punk chants, what do you make of AJ Lee and her retirement?
Well, it's a weird one, because Claire would always say to me, if they have given the clearance for the doctor, for one of their employees to publicly sue her husband, how can the relationship be maintained? And obviously people who are slightly in the know, like Dave Meltzer and Jim Ross, have always alluded to the fact when talking about AJ Lee over the last 6 months, if she stays, is always they know something we don't. I was always a little bit more kind of like, well, look, what else can she do? She's not a mainstream star. This is her bread and butter. And I think I was wrong. Looking at it now, I don't think with the lawsuit that the relationship was sustainable.
I just my whole take on it is that Phil is a selfish prick who's cost his wife her dream job, and I really feel very strongly that I feel that his bullishness and his hard-headedness and his desire to go out there and tell a story just made his wife's situation untenable. Whether or not she supports him in that, now I just think there'll be a time 5-10 years down the road when Punk flames out of this one, which he does with all his lady friends.
Yeah, they can take her back though then.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think I just feel for her.
Alright, Roman Reigns versus The Big Show. They've given Roman Reigns the Cena stip of last man standing. It's an interesting one. Obviously he'll go over, but you think moving ahead, you were saying Randy Orton and Seth Rollins, you think that there's, with Kane turning, how can it go? It
may be Roman versus Kane, which, oh god, I just don't need that. Like, you talk about reasons that I didn't watch this week's Raw. It's the two biggest ones, well, the three biggest ones. The booking is just the first thing. I just don't want to hate watch the show, but 2 and 3 are Big Show and Kane, and I just, even though Kane was supposed to be good this week, I just don't want to see it. And so I just think, you get a good, if you can get 14-15 minutes out of these two, give them all the gimmicks, then you could, you probably get a good match and just move along and maybe just go straight to Sheamus and Rome.
Yeah, that'd be interesting if they did do Sheamus and Rome. They probably should have done it this time around. But Nikki Bella versus Naomi. I presume Nikki will retain, but Naomi has just turned. So is there some argument there?
I don't know who's a babyface, who's a heel. So I would just keep it on Nikki.
A guy came out, was this in The Observer, was it? A guy came out recently and said that in the Divas division they don't recognise anybody as faces and heels. They're just women who are bitchy. And that's why the inexplicable Bella face turn happened.
Yeah, or like Paige. When was her face turn? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They credited all that stuff and the Paige and AJ stuff, maybe all that. Paige.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler versus Sheamus in a kiss me arse match.
Yeah, I have no major problem with the stip. I don't know how you get out of it because.
Yeah, they have to get out of it though, right?
Yeah, I think they find a way. Maybe Ziggler fucks him on the stip and they do a rematch with their backward booking, but Sheamus has to win here.
Daniel Bryan versus Bad News Barrett. We talked about that before, whether it's happening or not. John Cena versus Rusev in a Russian chain match. I can only presume that this is this the end of Rusev?
It's the end, yeah. And I think if they're going to split him off from Lana, then I heard. I don't know if you listen to today's Observer show. Someone asked, "Is it possible they do Rusev and Lesnar at next year's Mania?" Dave entertained it, said it's possible. And I was like, "What? There's no way Rusev is there this time next year."
Never.
So no, I think I hate this match. I hate Four Corners matches.
Yeah.
Cena goes over.
It was reported as well that they've big plans for Lana and the Brian Kendrick student who is Eva Marie.
Oh yes, yeah.
She's been working with Brian extensively. I'm watching tapes of she said in an interview, I've been watching tapes of old matches including Japanese women. The WWE Network is such a great thing for me. There's no Japanese women's matches on the WWE Network.
Maybe there's a couple of some Magic Kong on Nitro. And then the main event.
The main event.
Orton.
So obviously Seth's retaining here.
Yeah, I don't see any other way.
So if the plan is to go with Seth and Lesnar at a rematch for SummerSlam, first question is, who do we put Seth against until then? That he's going to keep retaining against.
You do have to do the Reigns match, but I would maybe do it the month before Lesnar, and maybe what I would do is I would have Lesnar run in, destroy both of them, so that you save face for Roman. And I don't know, but I would definitely not go to it next. So where do you go next? That is really that's a conundrum. They have so many baby faces, but none over to that level, really. Maybe Ziggler could win here and go and do that.
Yeah.
He's not really there. Maybe Ambrose.
They did bring up Ambrose on Raw. Actually, did you hear that? They said Ambrose could have been put in your position, Seth, and so maybe.
Of everyone on this show, Ambrose is the one that breaks my heart because they have all these baby faces. The one who has more than anyone else, and I include Daniel Bryan in that, is Ambrose. I think Ambrose has a chance to be. If you look where he was at Hell in a Cell, and you look where he is now, and he was sacrificed for Bray Wyatt, and where's Bray Wyatt now? You
look where he was at Money in the Bank last year when he got the biggest pop of the night.
Yeah, but you remember at Hell in a Cell?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had something with him, but he wasn't their guy, so now he's just lucky he's got a match here.
One last note on Seth, I guess, is the end of the curb stomp, which I don't know. You didn't see this. You didn't see this finisher that he did, though.
No, I didn't.
Oh man, it's so bad.
The PW Insider reported that it's not the end of the curb stomp. The curb stomp will become more of a punt sort of thing where he does it occasionally.
Oh really?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to get rid of the curb stomp. It's not that dangerous move. The person taking it controls it entirely.
My theory was that with all the recent lawsuits against them due to concussions, that they want to take something away that blatantly looks like it would cause one.
Maybe that's possible.
All right, well, Ken, I don't know when the next time we're going to do a show is.
I think let's put one in the can every month, and we'll switch the. Maybe we'll try and do it closer to the pay-per-view, though, so that we're reviewing the pay-per-view. Or maybe do it 10 days out from the pay-per-view, so we're reviewing the pay-per-view and look forward to the next few weeks and the next show. All
right, sounds good. Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to share it and tell people about it. You can always catch myself and Ken at 4 o'clock on 102.3 FM, 103.2 FM, Dublin City FM. I do that now and again, where we regularly discuss everything in the world of mixed martial arts on Dublin City FM. And until the next time we are back, thanks very much for listening, and enjoy Extreme Rules.
Adios.
Adios.